Hello everyone, I'm Christina Elgert and I'm from the Wildlife Biology Research Doctoral Program at University of Helsinki. And I am here to share my work on light pollution and glowworms with you. So first of all, I would like you to take just a moment and think back at the last time you looked up at the sky at night. Could you see the stars well, or was there simply too much light around you? With the invention of the electrical light, the nightly phase of the Earth has changed a lot in just a short time. We humans benefit from lights in many ways, but when we accidentally light up more than we intend to, we create light pollution. For example, the lights from streetlights, traffic, and buildings can spread over really long distances, as you can see here at the beautiful picture by NASA. And as you can guess, this is a growing problem, as already 23% of the world's land surfaces experience light-polluted nights. And this number is growing each year. So in many ways, you could say that we are actually losing the night in many places. Well, why then is light such a wonderful thing? Why is light pollution a problem? Well, life on Earth has adapted to that day always follows night. And if this doesn't happen, it really creates a lot of confusion in the animal world. And light pollution is actually already known to affect many animals, from the tiniest zooplankton to mammals and even us humans. For example, light pollution can disrupt orientation, navigation, and different biological rhythms, such as sleep. So the real question here is actually, can the animals cope? Well, this depends a lot on evolutionary history. So we know little about the effects of light pollution because it is a novel disturbance, much, much brighter than anything found in the wild. So the organisms might not actually have encountered similar conditions in the past. So this means that they might not react adaptively. And such organisms that are active at dusk or at night and who use light in their communication are especially vulnerable to light pollution. An example of such a vulnerable species is glowworms and fireflies, which my work actually focuses on. So the aims of my research were to study if glowworms can respond adaptively to light pollution. So do the females alter their timing and location of glowing in response to light pollution? And do these potential responses influence mate attraction? So despite its name, the common glowworm is actually no worm at all. It actually is a beetle, and it spends most of its life, up to 3 years, as a larva, eating, for example, snails and slugs in our gardens. And the glowworm is actually a capital breeder, which means that the adults don't eat at all and only live a few weeks. And this means that they really have to find a mate quickly before they literally run out of energy. And so that things wouldn't be too easy, this species is really interesting because it uses a very unique way to attract a mate. And this is bioluminescent light. So as you can see here in this small video, the adult female glows with this greenish glow in the summer nights and just trying to attract flying males, as you can see them there in the right picture. And this is just such a wonderful example of how much diversity there is in nature. Just beautiful example. So why then is light pollution a problem for glowworms? Well, normally the male would use the glow of the female to find its way to her. And the brighter the female, the better, as usually the larger females are brighter and tend to have more eggs. So that means more offspring. But what happens when we turn on a light? Are the glowworms still able to find the love of their life, or would they be better off moving just a short distance out of the cone of light? So to answer these questions, we designed 2 experiments, one for the lab and one for the field. And all experiments were performed in the area around Terminen Zoological Station in Hanko, the southernmost part of Finland, in the summer of 2017. And this is an area that is known to be suitable for glowworms. We have spotted glowworms here before. And as you can see here in the left side picture, glowworms prefer this kind of semi-open areas, forest edges, as you can see in the picture. So the first experiment was a lab experiment, and this was to find out if the females respond behaviorally to light. So we used this arena with a white LED light in one end, and it created this gradient of light. We then placed a female in the middle and recorded glowing and movement. So we wanted to know if the females glow near light and if they move away or towards it, so in any direction. And of course, we had two treatments, a dark control with the light turned off and a light treatment with the light turned on. And the second experiment was a field experiment to study if the responses influence mate attraction. So as you can see in the picture, we use this light pole and two pitfall traps with green LEDs to attract males. And these are really simple traps. Just this green LED is enough for the male to think that there's a beautiful glowing female there, but it instead is actually just a dummy. So here we had, again, two treatments, a dark control where the light was turned off, and then a light treatment with one of the traps inside a cone of light. And what we wanted to know was that if there still are males that are attracted, even though the trap is inside a cone of light, and if the females could profit from moving just a short way out of the cone of light instead of staying put. And then let's take a look at the results. So let's start with the lab experiment. So the results from the arena clearly show that the females are less likely to glow in the presence of artificial light. So here on the y-axis, you had a percentage of glowing females and then a comparison of the situation in darkness, which is the control, and then in light. So as you can see here in the control, in darkness, normally almost all females glow. So this is almost 97% of females glowing. But as soon as we turn on the light, this changes a lot. It changes dramatically. So in the presence of artificial light, only 23% of females start to glow. And this is a really significant change. And this effect is actually mirrored by the females that chose to hide. So here, once again, you can see in the y-axis the percentage of hiding females, and then a comparison of hiding females in darkness and in light. And as you can see, in darkness, there's almost no females hiding. And of course, this is logical. If almost all females are glowing, there's no reason to hide. But once again, when we turn on the light, things change. So now you can see that there is almost 27% of females that chose to hide instead of glowing. And of course, if you are not glowing and if you're instead hiding, there is no chances that you are going to attract any mates at all. Well, then let's take a look at the movement. And we actually didn't find any evidence of females moving away from light. So approximately 50-50 moved closer or farther away, regardless of light. Well then, does this matter? So could the females profit by moving? Let's take a look at the results from the field experiment. So here we have the results from the field experiment, and it's really clear that the females were less likely to attract males in the presence of light. And in the control, where the light was turned off, both traps are approximately as likely to attract a male. So here in the y-axis, we have the probability of attracting a male. And as you can see, it's about the same for both traps. But as soon as the light is turned on, this changes dramatically. So if you take a look at the trap placed inside the cone of light, you can see that this has almost no success in attracting males. The probability of attracting a male for the trap inside the cone of light is only 2%. That's almost nothing compared to the one in darkness. And this is really clear here that the females would be better off moving away from the cone of light. Well then, what does this all mean? So we now know that the females glow less and they do not move away even though the success is higher in darkness. So this is clearly a maladaptive response. And if you add to this that the glowworm is a capital breeder and only has a short time to mate before dying, and in addition to this, the waiting, any delay is actually costly and may result in a loss of eggs. So this means that light pollution might increase the risk of dying before mating, which means there would be no offspring at all. And for those of you who are wondering what the cheese piece is doing here, so this is because light pollution actually functions as a sort of habitat fragmentation. So it creates these kind of cookie cutter or cheese hole gaps in an otherwise suitable habitat and actually making it uninhabitable. And we currently know that the glowworms and fireflies are in decline globally. So light pollution, together with climate change, pesticides, and other pollution could have contributed to this. And here we have my take-home message. So if you remember anything from this presentation, I hope for you to remember this. So light pollution is a growing problem globally, and the amount of light is just increasing each year. And this affects many, many species. And one of them is the common glowworm, who struggles to find a mate in the presence of light. And darkness is such a valuable but increasingly rare resource. We really need more research on the effects of light pollution on different organisms, and especially on the population level. So if we want to be able to admire the twinkling stars and shining glowworms in the future too, I think it's really time for us to turn off the unnecessary lights and just reclaim the darkness. Thank you very much.